So, hey everybody. Hey there, and happy Saturday of the long weekend, end of summer, Labor Day. So, what you learned, what you know, what you think you know, what you don't know, what you still have yet to learn. Life is fascinating and it's constantly teaching you stuff. It's constantly like through its experiences, through energies colliding, through your relationships with other people, it's showing you yourself. And sometimes you like that and it feels good. And then you feel like you're in love with the other person because they're bringing out this beautiful side of you that you like and you want to look at even more. And so you become friends or partners or what have you. And then there's these people who show up and bring you the ugliness, but you think it's about the ugliness in them. What you're seeing is like how they're like this. They're mean, they're selfish, they're ugly. And the truth is that mirrors are mirrors and we are mirrors and they are mirrors. And when I meet new people and I don't like them, I'm uncomfortable because I don't feel comfortable in not liking people. But what I've also learned about not liking people is that I'm seeing myself. And you see, life has taught me things about people, about myself, about how men should act, how women should act, how white people should act, how black people should act, how older people should act, how younger people should act, how love should be, how hate should be, how what a good experience looks and feels like and what a bad experience looks and feels like. And sometimes I've come to understand, in these moments of stillness that it's almost all chronic bullshit. But I think it's true. I think it's reality because it's the only reality that I've ever known. Whether I am genetically born or predisposed to be how I am and who I am, or life has conditioned me, and I believe I am a byproduct of both. I do believe I was born genetically as a certain type of person or character or being. And then I also believe that life has conditioned me and things have happened that have created other and new characteristics in me. And either way, all along the way, I'm learning about myself and I'm seeing myself and I'm, looking at in the mirror at life and the world. And the beauty of all of this is that I've gone through a couple of different types of processes, which I'm also happy to take anybody else through, that have alleviated this need to constantly focus on the world and focus on what you're doing to me and focus on how you're an idiot who doesn't get it, or focus on, the problem is out there. No, 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 no. Everything about what's happening to me, both problem and solution, are in here. Everything about my experience and my ability to move through life and become happy and contented and useful and be able to really connect with people starts in here. And the thing is I have to go through the process of divesting myself of the things that would block me, like my opinions and my prejudices and my limiting beliefs and the ways I was taught to look at the world that aren't really that healthy. And the problem is that I'm really attached to some of these things. I'm like, but this is right. But this is the way life is. And I don't know, maybe it is the way life is, and maybe it isn't. But the point is the way that I'm thinking about life making me more content? Is the way that I'm viewing life and holding on to my opinions opening myself up to other people, making me feel more happy? Because all I hear constantly, but it's all about connection, connection, connection. And I go into a store or my local coffee shop, and the person behind the counter doesn't even know how to say a simple hello to connect with me. It's like connection, connection, connection. And then everybody's walking around on their phone. Not like, I walk downstairs and the postal worker is putting the mail in the boxes and has buds in her ears. And I say hello and she doesn't even hear me. And these kinds of things, these disconnections, because we're immersed in self or our videos and games and music or iPad or iPhone or all these other things, these ways that we become more and more immersed and entrenched in our own ideas is very exclusive. It's not very inviting. And so for me to have gone through this process of like divesting myself of these blocks and this conditioning, and also continuing to live open and vulnerable as I move through the world, like looking to connect instead of being on my phone, doing this, even though it's not like the most fun for me, although I have to say, when I first started doing this, I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And now I really enjoy it. And I don't know, maybe that's vain. Maybe I just, maybe I finish taping and then I get back on and I go and listen to myself and I go, damn, you're smart, or wow, that sounds really good. It doesn't even really matter because it's all humorous to me. It's like whether I think I'm all that or I don't, I recognize that there's like all this stuff in my head, which is borderline inaccurate and sometimes delusional, but I love it. I love it and I'm attached to it. I think it's great. And I use it to justify all kinds of nonsense. And what I'm trying to say is try and find a process where you actually build your self awareness and start to look and self-examine some of that stuff that goes on in your head that is not connected, that is not making your relationships better, that is in fact keeping you stuck. And if you want to talk about any of that stuff, I'm happy to hear from you through Facebook Manager, through Facebook Messenger, or at Nicole@NicoleDevlin.com. Thanks for joining me on this Saturday. I hope you'll have a great extra day off. You deserve it. And yeah, I'm really glad that you're here to listen.